What's poppin', y'all? It's your man Tyler C, and this is the Community Experiment. Yo, each week on the Community Experiment, we sit down and talk to individuals because we believe that individual stories have the ability to strengthen the community around us. This week, we're talking to the homie Vince Marjes. That's right, Vince Marjes. You may have never heard this name, but in North Idaho, this is the man to talk to when it comes to style, marketing, and all things fly. So let's hop into this very special one with the homie. Let's go. In North Idaho, in Coeur d'Alene, when somebody asks you about style, or when somebody moves to town and you could tell that they into a lot of different things. There's one dude in particular people say you gotta meet. when somebody of color who got a little swag on them, when somebody who white, black, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? When somebody comes into town rocking like an extra tall tee, or rocking a pair of super like
tight pants.
I was gonna go with Jordans.
Okay, Jordans.
Tight pants.
Let's go Jays. Jays all day.
Nah, because Cowboys wear tight pants too.
That's true.
But when somebody comes to town and you could just tell they swag right, swag tight, everybody who's anybody is gonna say, "Hey, do you know Vince?" That's who we got on the show.
That's really funny.
And that's why I wanted to get with this dude. We've been talking about doing something for a long time.
Yeah, I've lived here 2 years now. Mm-hmm. December 3rd, 2-year anniversary living in North Idaho.
Okay.
I met Tyler literally probably 2 months into living here.
Okay. Who introduced us? Chris or somebody? I can't remember who it was.
Mario Martinez.
That's right.
Shout out to Mario.
Shout out Mario.
Yeah.
That was when we were doing North Idaho Brown Dudes.
Yeah, I started following North Idaho Brown Dudes, and I was so excited that there was such a thing as North Idaho Brown Dudes.
Yeah.
With an S, plural. So I was like, yeah, there's like more than like the only brown dude I knew that lived here was Mario.
Oh, okay.
And he's an LA transplant.
Yeah.
Excuse me, because we used to travel and do BFC stuff together.
Okay.
Shout out Borders for Christ. That's why I'm in North Idaho.
That's originally how you like knew about North Idaho.
Yeah, I started coming to Coeur d'Alene back in my first time here was 2004.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah,
Actually, you graduated high school, 2004.5 EHS, we out here.
There you go. See, 2004 was a good year.
It was.
Long story short, I was living in Orange County, California, and I moved back to Seattle around 04. And I was just not living a life that showed Jesus much love. And I was told about this group of young hooligans that decided that they would do skateboard demos for churches or spread the message of Jesus, or visit back then a trade show in the action sports industry, which I worked in and still do, but it was called ASR back then, Action Sports Retailer.
Okay.
And this friend of mine named Richard Mulder, who's a professional skateboarder who I love and respect.
Shout out Richard Mulder.
Richard Mulder, he's the first guy who told me about this group called Borders for Christ that were based then in Seattle. Okay. I mean, they came from here originally, but they had an office in Seattle. So I moved up, and it was just by chance of an email to their website and a newsletter that I got back saying they were going to ASR to pass out Bibles. And I was like, y'all are tripping. like to go to ASR to pass out Bibles. Yeah. And I was like, what? Like ASR, for those that attended back in the day and know about it, whatever, it's where every surf and skate and some snow and fashion brands that had that DNA, they would get together, and it's one big giant sales meeting, but it was also a big party and, all that. So you could have a booth with free beer flowing out of it, or you can have a booth with like old school Black Flies sunglasses that had stripper poles inside. Okay. It was just a wild time. Yeah. Things I think were a little bit like crazier and looser then. But anyway, this group of guys decided, hey, we're going to be a light in a dark place and go to ASR and try to pass out Bibles and just be cool to people and not try to like preach at them, but talk to them. So long story short, I get an email saying they're about to go do that and go on a tour through California. And I just moved to Seattle, and I didn't really have any friends well, friends, but not ones that like I saw a lot.
Yeah.
So I decided to donate all that I had on my PayPal account, which was like under $11. It was probably like $10.40.
Yeah. That's when PayPal was popping too.
Yeah. So because I had no job, so then I left my job in California. And then I got an email back from Chris Laurie.
Shout out, Chris. We gotta bring Chris on the culture though.
Yeah, we do. He likes tall tees, and
he's tall though. It's valid.
He likes tall tees.
He ain't 5'3" walking around with a tall tee on. Anyways,
he ain't 5'8" like me. So anyway, yeah, I met him. Chase Howland.
Hey man, shout out Chase. Chase is a real one, man. Yeah. I shouldn't say it. Chase is a cold brother, man. Chase. I'm gonna cut in right here.
Go ahead.
So y'all always see me plugging Faraway Lovely, and that's because Chase Hallen been out here riding heavy for the Community Experiment Podcast, and literally anything I do, man, he lets me use the key. Listen, Chase. Hey, Chase.
I love you.
Love you, bro. Thank you for everything, man. I just hit him up today. I was like, yo, thank you, man. Like, anyways, I apologize.
Yeah, no, I love Chase, and I get to share an office with him. Anyway. This is where we're at.
Yeah.
So
I met out Midtown Workspace.
Chris Laurie, Chase Howland, and first at a coffee shop.
Okay.
They told me what they did, and it's kind of history from there.
Yeah.
Travel, etc. But we started coming to Coeur d'Alene every year for either skate demos or something or whatever. So I'd start coming pretty much every year. Got to meet the whole family, and here we are from 2004 to 2018. Moved here 2 years ago. Met my wife through Chris and Heather and her sister, and then boyfriend or fiance or something like that. Okay. So it was all like a roundabout a Borders for Christ Coeur d'Alene connection. Right, that's why I'm here now.
Now your wife does hair. She whips heads, right?
She does.
Man, go ahead and shout them out.
Fantastic. She's an expert colorist.
Okay.
I would say she's a balayage expert.
What's balayage?
It's a process of, I actually don't even know. No. It's a way to, it's a style of coloring the hair. Now I can't get it right because I'm not a cosmetologist. Okay. But I just know women love balayage.
If you could tell us what balayage is, whenever we get a free, and you're not a hair whipper, if you could tell us what that is, the first one who comments on this video, when we get North Idaho for the Culture T-shirts, like Fonzie T-shirts, we'll give you a free T-shirt.
Yeah, and when he finds out who you are, I'll buy you an espresso shot at Union. Boom.
That's what's up.
Yeah, for real. Let's do it. Union Roasters on 4th and what are we on? Hattie? No.
I think it is Hattie.
4th and Hattie.
Something like that.
Yeah, kitty corner from the Dave Smith Maserati.
Hey,
Alfa Romeo.
Talk about North Idaho for the culture.
No, I just stare at the Maserati Alfa Romeo dealership every day.
Fam.
You know what I mean? And we're looking at the bright lights right now. Who's driving a Rowdy around here?
I've seen a couple Maseratis whip around, man.
But do they live here?
Yeah, I think so. It's like one dude with a yellow Lambo. It's two or three dudes with the white
Audis?
Jaguar. There's a lot of Audis.
There's a lot of Audis, yeah.
But a couple.
Anyway, long story short, I'm here now. I'm blessed to be here. It was a culture change, culture shift, culture shock from my last 10 years in San Diego. But I've lived in between Southern California and Seattle all my life. It's my first time living in North Idaho. So I'm proud to be here and hopefully just doing a thing, doing what I can to provide for my family.
Thanks.
Stay excited about what I do, and then just be good to people. And I'm proud to be able to work with good people still back in California and other places. So
you spoke a little bit about how you started in the skateboard industry, like you were at the trade shows. Can you speak a little bit about your evolution in the culture, specifically in like the retail game and the brands and kind of into what you're doing now?
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, like I've gotten asked this question before by kids that want to get into what I do or whatever. I mean, and I say this as humbly as possible. Like, I'm nobody, but I just like stuff. I like stuff, and I like people, and I like to network, and I like to and I like to be able to make some money to take care of my family,
Facts,
right? So
facts.
yeah, man, I just started like, I literally started working at a shop in Costa Mesa, California, as a young man.
Now, where is Costa Mesa? I never heard of that.
Costa Mesa is in the middle of Orange County, California. I would say it's like 45 minutes away from LA.
Okay.
And about hour-ish north of San Diego. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's not far from Newport Beach. So I just started a shop. I just moved to California from Seattle at that point, and I found the coolest shop that I could find, at least what I thought, you know, being an uneducated retail dude. And I got a job there, old school, called The Closet in Costa Mesa, and I learned a lot. I learned how to just, you know, work retail, learn how to go to trade shows, learn how to start doing buying, etc., things like that. And then just kind of evolved from there. Spent some time there, ended up working women's retail at a place called Ron Herman, and then ended up back in Seattle. I probably worked at Nike Town at some point for that because I love sneakers. And so I worked.
Did you say Nike Town?
Yeah, I worked at Nike Town, Seattle at some
Nike Town?
point. Back in the day, Nike used to have their flagship stores called Nike Towns.
Oh, okay.
So they had a little mini like museum inside. That was in Seattle. But I worked women's retail. I worked for women's retail in Seattle, and then I did some other things, and every job I took, I just try to soak it up. And then I ended up back in California in 06, and I moved with Borders for Christ down there. But I was able to move down with the job I had. It was in women's retail, and so I got to help manage like a team of 12 women, and we had a big denim store. It was insane, and I learned a lot there too.
What year was that?
Man, that was like 06.
Okay, so that was when like denim raw denim was coming back in a real way. That was like because
yeah, I mean, for on the women's side, there was a lot of it was kind of the heyday of quote unquote premium denim.
Right.
So it was a lot of big names like the True Religions of the world and the Seven for All Mankind's and the, you know, Salt and Pepper or whatever it was.
Okay.
I probably even got Salt and Pepper wrong. I'm thinking of the rap group. No, it was like Chip and Pepper. Anyway.
Okay.
Whatever.
I don't know.
A long time ago. So I learned that, and there I learned how to. I learned retail from a different standpoint. It felt a little bit more corporate, et cetera, not independent. And man, God brought me through a lot from being a partner with my buddy Shane Byler in a retail store in Little Italy.
Shout out Shane.
Great guy, Shane. Good family, etc. But it was called Face Value. We did that for a couple of years. I think we were ahead of its time back in Little Italy, San Diego, and that was fun. Met some amazing people through there. Shout out Brandon Solis, Gutter Snipe back in the day, and tons of people who I still remain friends with. Learned the pitfalls and also the plus side to independent retail.
Okay.
I went homeless for a bit, lived out of my car. After that, went down during the economic crash of 2008. Pivot point. I went on probably my last Borders for Christ trip in 2008. Went to Cairo, Egypt with the guys, and it changed my life.
Wow.
Because I was kind of like, yo, store's falling apart. At that point, I lost a relationship with this girl. I was going to church at that point, but kind of like, nah, I don't want to go to church anymore. And then like Chris and his wife, family had to move back to Idaho. So it was just kind of, I was floating a little bit, but God still like, you know how he does work.
Facts.
You know?
Yeah.
So, went to Cairo. That changed my life. Went with some good guys, and I saw a woman receiver sight. She was blind, and these guys just prayed it through, and it was amazing. And it was just a life-changing trip. Came back to California, and man, there's so many details. I can't even go into all of them because there's so many. But ended up getting a couple jobs along the way, and worked retail in West Hollywood, even though I was living in San Diego for a little bit. So I'd commute and then end up back in Orange County. 2009, I landed my first real job again after going through crazy transition. Worked for Nixon Watches for a handful of years, working in like customer service on the operations side kind of thing. And then from there, just kind of snowballed. Got to work with some great brands after. Uppercut Deluxe, which is a pomade brand, Rich or Poor, which is an awesome innerwear brand based out of SoCal, and then some other brands too. Got to work with a good friend named Sam Larson, who was working as he had a sales agency kind of deal, working with a couple great brands, and then he ended up starting a retail store called Lone Flag in San Diego, and just did my best to support that and kind of find ways to do little projects here and there. And then still just kind of learned as much as I could, hustled, and then moved here a couple years ago, and now I'm a full-time freelancer. A little bit of brand management, a little bit of wholesale sales, and social media management and influencer marketing. So that's what I do now. So I just do projects for brands and search out more and do my best to make people happy.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was really long-winded, but it's random stuff. So.
But the reason why that's good is because for a kid who knows they like fashion or knows they like clothes or like you said earlier, knows they like stuff, like these kids need to understand that there are more avenues to get into the world other than just working at a shop or other than just one of the things that you said. Like a lot of kids think now, okay, I need to be into like social media marketing specifically, and that's the only way in, or I need to be a salesperson. Like there might be some kids right now here in North Idaho who have no clue of any of the career paths that you just talked about. That's why it's good that you spoke on all those things, because when you look at culture, especially in North Idaho, like kids will see something in a magazine and have no clue how that situation was brought about. So having somebody in the same town, like you said, kids come to you all the time, but having somebody in the same town say like, hey, this was my path, this was all the stuff that I went through to kind of get where I'm at right now. Like you have some options if you want to like build a career in this industry.
Yeah, I mean, along the whole way, obviously, like I believe in God, and He took care of me, and He protected me a lot. But He also like allowed me to, stumble. He didn't cause it, obviously, but He allowed me to kind of like veer off because it really showed how much I needed Him, But along the way, man, I asked questions. I wanted to find solutions. I networked. I asked more questions. I showed up to places that I needed to be, make sure that the right people are there. I mean, I did what it took, but I also really learned from a lot of people around me, and as well took that knowledge and, I guess created my own answers, right? And also always along the way, like giving credit to where it's due, and just studying how I can along the way as well. Reading things, or a lot of it was like I just asked a lot of questions.
It's all about that sounds like a lot of what it means to actually hustle. More than just like the word hustle, and people think like equating hustling to like slinging dope or something like that. But like the idea of like, okay, this is the industry that you want to be in. And so that you need to ask questions, you need to take opportunities, you need to create opportunities. Like that's all a part of the hustle that we talk about, which is a big part of the culture. So that's dope.
And treating people well was like something that I stick to. I love doing. I hope I do really well at it. But I mean, it's something that you can always like improve upon, because there are times where I got treated well, and there's times that like I got kicked while I was down. So but always treating others with like respect and knowing that you never know where that handshake will lead or that first time connection will lead. Because I mean, it can come back around, or you can, you know, fire off an email a year later and they're still like, oh yeah, man, I remember you, or you were cool to me, or whatever. So freelancing now, looking for projects or doing whatever, or utilizing a network when I have to, I guess, work with content creators or photographers or whatnot. I rely on the network I've built along the way, and also I'm always doing my best to educate myself with who else is out there.
Can you speak to that a little bit? Like what it looks like to be somebody who's like immersed in the culture, but living in a place that isn't necessarily cultured?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We just had a sidebar conversation about this before the mics were on. So I mean, it's an interesting topic. Obviously one that's near and dear to my heart, especially living in, like, the North Idaho culture is unique. I think people that don't know anything about the place, they clearly have their own viewpoint. They just think it's just some backwoods, you know, red state, like, you know, scary place with like no Wi-Fi or something like that, you know, or everyone wears hunting camo to church, which does happen.
Hey, I mean,
in
shout
some
out
places.
to Kanye West's new line though.
Everyone looks like Easy, but it's literally real tree
It's
camo
the real
from like black sheep clothing. You know what I mean? It's like
sidebar though.
Yeah.
Do you think it's funny that he came to North Idaho and then that's what his line looked like?
Well, I mean, to be honest, like he's had that camo deal for a while, but it is funny that he visited a spot where it's such a norm, right? Like in the summer, like, and much respect to those that enjoy the hunting lifestyle and the fishing. I think that's cool, but it's interesting living here now, coming from a different place where certain areas you look at a place if you aren't rocking the right gear.
Oh, for sure.
We're not talking about, you know, your sneakers and your jeans and your t-shirt. We're talking if you don't have the right
Merles.
Yeah, if you don't have the right gaiters on, if you don't have, and I'm not talking about gaiters from like Miami with croc skin. We're talking
not church boots. We're talking about
not church boots. We're talking if you don't have the right camo with the right safety orange deal with the the right
Carhartt. If it's wintertime and you don't have the Carhartt overalls, you got the other ones. Or if you don't have like the Carhartt bomber vest.
Yeah, I mean, it's Carhartt work gear that goes up to like 6XL. We're not talking about the Carhartt whip that I love that is fitted, right? So you look like, I look like a goon when I'm walking in with the Carhartt logo that's like 2 inches big rather than the Carhartt logo being 6 inches big, and I'm not wearing the right duck canvas. But nonetheless, no, it's intriguing. It's like there's culture here for sure. There's, I think, a culture that's been around for so long, and there's this new influx of all age ranges, but let's stick to maybe this young family age range. There's a lot of transplants from Colorado, from Texas, from obviously Western Washington, and then you have from Illinois, Chicago, and then all of a sudden people notice all these Californians that are all over the place, me included, and so it's intriguing to see the diversity that's come into town. When I first moved here, I looked up the census, the population, and it literally said, Kootenai County, let's say it's like at 150,000 people population wise, and clearly it's gone up a couple percentage points or whatnot. But as far as the breakdown of ethnicities, I think African American was something like I want to say it was like 0.4%, I think, right? Something, I mean, don't quote me on that, but it was really low, right?
I don't know, it's definitely like 0.0.
Asian American or Pacific Islander or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it was really, really low as well. Then all of a sudden I find out from my father-in-law that there's actually like a Filipino community that's about 400 strong in the area, and I was like scratching my head going, where are they? Like besides, and this isn't a joke, but literally besides the Filipina tita, which is auntie, the one that works at Albertsons up in Hayden that I see checking people out. I'm dead too. She's there. Yeah. Or the occasional, pop in a Ross dress for less, and the mom and the mom and the young girl behind me that is actually Filipina, because I understand their language, and they're looking at me weird, like, you live here? Like, yeah, you live here? Like, yeah. It's, as far as the ethnic side of things, it's pretty non-diverse. Is that the right word? Non-diverse?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go with it. I'm not going to correct you.
Undiverse?
Undiverse?
It's just not diverse. How's that? But then, as far as mentalities go, there's growing technology trains of thought. There's obviously like robotics here. There's VR. There's AI. There are a ton of artists here. There's woodworkers. There's people that love fashion. There's a handful of clothing lines that are based out of here now. I mean, the homie Connor being one.
Shout out Connor White. What's his
just
company
launched, contrary to popular belief.
That's what the name of the company?
Contrary to popular belief.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Go check it out. But it's made in the USA, produced in LA, but designed here. So, I mean, that's just one avenue. But the beer culture here, the coffee culture here, even...
Shout out WO Gang.
I mean, it's growing.
Everything. And the cool thing is, like, I don't want it to sound like we're making fun of the Carhartt culture.
Not at all.
At all. Because that's the culture. That's like the OG culture of Coeur d'Alene. And if you move to Coeur d'Alene, you have to respect that. Like, you can't come in here and feel like you are going to, like, your purpose is to change the culture. That's not, I in no way want to change that culture, because there are parts of that culture that we can all learn from.
Would you call it a blue collar culture?
Yeah. I mean, or especially in this area. I mean, it's just the like backwoods / like, it's almost to a certain degree, it's like that inland Northwest culture. Because Pacific Northwest culture is a little different.
It is, because even though we are the inland Pacific Northwest, I mean, I get it all the time. People think we're in the Midwest and we think we're a different time zone. I mean, Boise, they're different. But Boise in itself has a different culture than Coeur d'Alene, right?
Oh, for sure.
So what I'm excited about as we start talking about this in a couple other episodes, we want to, I mean, we're part of the culture now, but we're still transplants, right? Which we will be forever probably. Right. But learning like what was here before us, the things that are changing that are coming in, and then the stuff that intrigues us, not just fashion, which like I love, but there's so many other facets and avenues to it that are now intertwined, especially with maybe, I guess, for lack of a better term, like a younger generation, because there's also still a younger generation here that's lived here all their life.
Right.
And I say this like kindly, some of them are a little bit sheltered in a way. Maybe not everyone. Please don't think I'm generalizing, but there are definitely, like, I run into like a 24, 25-year-old dude or a 30-year-old dude who doesn't like to travel that much, or doesn't travel much, or doesn't like Seattle, or doesn't like Portland. For sure. They just, this is their deal. Yeah. Right?
Which is dope.
Which is great.
That's tight. That person though, that person is the equivalent of a dude who grew up in the hood and that's all they know. Yeah. Or like grew up in Appalachia and that's all they know. It's not bad. That I know. I have family members who are just like that. Yeah. And like my stepfather-in-law, he is one of my favorite dudes in this. Like hands down, one of my favorite men in my that have ever been in my life, and it's because he is backwoods North Idaho, and he's proud of it. He loves it. He rides for it, and he has taught me so much just because he's dedicated to one. I mean, he goes to work, comes home, kicks it, shoots some guns, knock back a beer. You know what I'm saying? Like he lives a life of such. It's funny, he lives like a minimalistic life, and he doesn't even know it. You know what I mean? Like his life is very, I won't say stress free, but he knows what he likes, he does it, and he's unapologetic about it. That's North Idaho culture. All right, y'all, that is it for this week's episode. Once again, huge shout out to the homie Vince Marjes. And again, if you want to learn more about the Community Experiment, as usual, check us out at communityexperiment.com. We'll talk to you next time.